A big issue time and again is pricing. Why is pricing important? Because it's that one P which gives us revenue. So pricing, especially in global markets or in a different market, is a very difficult and challenging exercise. So it needs to consider the following: what is the position of your brand in the market? How people aware of it? How aware are they of it? You might be a king at home, but you might be unknown in a new market. The customers, are they willing to pay? Have they got the ability to pay for your kind of product category? What is the competition like, both from domestic, local competition and from other kinds of international competitors? What is the cost of producing it locally as opposed to, say, bringing it and importing it from abroad? What are the regulatory issues such as taxes and things like that? And other kinds of commercial considerations. For example, is that country used to fix price lists, or is there a lot of bargaining channels? What do they do? So on and so forth. So there are so many challenges when you're looking at overseas markets, and pricing is, like we found earlier also in other discussions, a very important and perhaps sometimes the most important decision that you have to make. The other big challenge is how do you distribute the product, because many places, have different characteristics. Certain places don't like, if you look at India for example, the use of self-service is not as prominent as it is, say, in Western cultures. So you need to consider issues like this when you are actually selling your product or selling your service. So there are differences in customer behavior. There are also differences in social norms. For example, in Saudi Arabia, women are not generally allowed to drive. So what do you do then? Is there any point? How do you design a vehicle? Will it be the same, or do you have to take those norms into consideration? Sometimes there is legislation which prevents the use of distribution channels that are usually used in the home market. For example, direct marketing. Certain countries today have norms on privacy, intrusion, security related issues. So will that impinge? If you are using direct marketing for your products here at home, would that be allowed in certain other countries? So you have to take that into consideration. A big challenge is, who do you use? Some cultures like the fact if their own people are selling to them. In some other cultures, they are used to having people from all over the place, and they may not mind somebody else coming and selling to them. So it all depends what the kind of culture that you're dealing with and what they are used to. And big challenge is whether you use expatriates, use people from here and you send them outside. Whatever, one of the big challenges is going to be how do you train those people so that they are more effective out on the field. So if you look at this, there are various market entry options for a company. The company can either export directly to customers overseas, or use an agent to export, or it can create a foreign subsidiary and operate through that, or it can license or franchise its products. Many companies have done that in many areas, for example in entertainment, in food and so on and so forth. Or in many cases they also have joint ventures or strategic alliances. Hero, Honda is one thing. TVS had it with Suzuki, it broke off. Honda too just recently broke off with Hero. There are several such joint ventures and alliances which are there all across the world. Some countries, like for example China, many times does not allow foreign countries to operate completely on its own. In India too, there are certain foreign direct investment restrictions in certain areas. Example, retail is one area where a company cannot operate on its own. Insurance too, there are some restrictions. So you may have to worry about it. There are many companies like Amazon which have made a huge business out of e-commerce. And some companies have e-commerce either through one single entity or through entities even in local areas, like Groupon, the big group buying site, has bought an Indian company called Snapdeal. So it uses a local company to do e-commerce. A big challenge here is how you time your market entry for all of this, whatever you're trying to do, because sometimes it might be a bad time. Somebody who went into Greece, say 3 years ago, might be ruining the day, whereas somebody who might have entered China 10 years back might be celebrating. So if you look at it, in conclusion, global marketing, or as it was known earlier, international marketing, export marketing, transnational marketing, is here to stay. There are a lot of successes, there are a lot of failures, and one can learn a lot from these successes and failures. So domestic market situations, compulsions sometimes have led marketers and producers to look at international and global markets. The global marketing program is based on the idea that a firm can develop a strategy which can be kind of common across the globe. Now here it's very important to remember that the technical aspects of marketing, the 4 P's, the aspect of approaches that you have for say pricing or promotion can be the same. It may be the social aspects of culture, the norms that might vary, and one has to be very mindful of those social aspects while being very strong on the technical aspects. There are very many considerations why a company goes global: increased profitability, scale of operations, economies of scale, etc., etc. And we have seen that it is quite distinct from domestic marketing, and for more and more firms in India, going global is necessary for increased growth and profitability.